So at the heart of any given successful SaaS application, there lies a really important component, and that is the billing, subscriptions, and payment. So this is what allows you to actually manage the payment of your tenants and also send SMS notifications. So think of it like one of the popular services that you guys might be using. Think, for example, the Zuku billing system. At every end of the month, you normally receive like an SMS to make your payment if you haven't, and also get like an invoice in your email that notifies the client to actually make the payment. So the invoice normally have like an account number and also the payment details. So that is what we are going to implement today. We want a feature which will allow the tenants to actually make the payments. We'll also get to send reminders as well as email notifications. So in this one, we are going to break it into two series. The first one I'm just going to show you, and in the first one we're going to define our models. Then in the next one we are going to start on working and wiring our views, as well as configuring Celery. So you need to have some experience with Celery, Redis, and just any other task management system that you know. But for this case, I'm going to be implementing Celery for the email and SMS features. So without further ado, let's get started. So inside my Visual Studio Code, in my project, I've created a brand new application that is called Billing. So Billing is the application that will handle all the subscriptions, all the payments, all the reminders and notifications. So I didn't want to have it like separate application, one for billing, another one for subscription, another one for notifications. I just wanted to have all the applications, all the functionality of the billing in one single unit. And the way I've been implementing that is by creating this application for billing. Then inside billing, I've made it modular in that we have a models directory, because the models are pretty big, so we couldn't keep them in like a single models.py file. That's why I've broken them down into separate model, different modules over here, as well as notifications. We do have an dedicated directory for our notifications, where we are going to define a class that will manage all the sending of emails, sending of SMS in this one. So let us first focus on the models app, then we'll go to the notification, then finally I'll also show you how you can actually register your models into the admin, but not inside the billing admin. As you can see that I just got rid of my admin.py file. Instead, what we'll do is that we'll get to register them inside the accounts app, but we'll come to that in a later. Let's first start with the billing. So we have our models here defined. So the way these ones work, we need like an invoice. That is what will be sent to the users, to the tenants, in form of PDF via email. We'll also send SMS notifications. We have our invoice model. This is the invoice that will be sent to the users. It will have different status, for example, sent, paid, overdue. So you'll be able to like manage or query invoice based on the status. So an invoice basically has the tenant that is tied to it. For example, if it's Uwezo Credit or if it's Mkulima Sacco, you'll be able to have the tenant tied to it. We also have the subscription. A subscription is another model that is defined inside tenant subscription. Then we have the invoice number, the amount, the status, the issue date, and also any additional notes. So that is it for our invoice. Then we're finally just adding that string method with the invoice number as well as the tenant name. Another thing that you can see here is that we are overriding the save method here to automatically create the overdue. So that is it for our invoice. So inside our models directory, still we have another module for tenant subscription. So this is the model that will handle all the plans as well as the subscriptions for our tenants. And then now the tenant subscription, these are now the actual tenants who have subscribed to a given plan. So This will have the tenant, the start date, the date in which they have started the subscription, the end date, the auto renew. You can also have the created and updated date. So it's pretty straightforward. You just have a plan, and you also have the tenant subscription, which is now the actual subscription of the tenants. Then we also have the other one, that's the payment reminder. This is what will actually send SMS and emails to our clients so that they can know that their payment is overdue, or maybe their plan has expired and such like that. So a good SaaS system needs that way of communication with your clients, and that's going to be made possible with this payment reminder over here. So and then lastly, we are going to have the payments. So since it's a local thing, we're just going to use M-Pesa. I'm not going to go the Stripe or PayPal route. We're just going to use the M-Pesa, and preferably we are going to go with the C2B type of payments for the client to be able to pay via a pay bill, as well as later in the journey we'll also add a feature inside the tenant dashboard where they can just initiate an SDK push from their dashboard. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple. It's going to be a C2B payment where they're being sent an account number which they will be assigned to, as well as the pay bill number where they can make the payment. So the tenant application is kept inside the billing application is inside our settings app. So if we register them under our billing admin.py, what will happen is that the tenants will be able to see all those subscriptions, all those invoices and everything. That's why I created separate admin dashboard, so that every tenant or all the tenants do not have access to the invoices, all the notifications and everything. That should only be visible to the super admin. So that's why, in order to implement that one, so in accounts I do have a directory again for super admin and tenant admin. So inside super admin, that is where I've imported all the models, just like this, the importation. Then inside our super admin, I'm just defining the site header, which is super admin, the site title, the index title, which is just a welcoming text. Then after that, here is where now we define our admin. So you can see that the admin class, we also have the one for the tenant subscription, just like you will do it inside your billing application. But after that, remember to use the super admin.site.register, not admin.site.register. That's what makes the difference. These are custom admin, and that is what will help us separate the tenants and the super admins from seeing the same models. We can now go ahead and do our migrations. So make migrations. We only need to do migrations for one application, and that is the billing. So make migrations. Billing is double L. I forgot to do that, so just gonna do that. And yeah, I had already made migrations prior to this recording, so we need to do migrate. But one thing that you need to know, we can't just write python manage.py migrate. That will migrate everything from the tenants app to the from the shared apps to the tenant apps, and we don't want to do that. If you just run the normal migrate, that will do the global migration. So we don't want to migrate the schemas over and over again. So Django-Tenants has a command that you can use to migrate the shared schema, that is like the public schema. So in order to avoid migrating or creating the schemas over and over again, so you're going to run a command that is called python manage.py. Then we just say migrate schemas. Then we just use the shared flag. That means that you only want to migrate the public schema. So that will avoid migrations for like the Uwezo Circle and the Vision Credit tenant over and over again. So that is that for the command. You can just go ahead and run it. updated every time. So yeah, that is it for the migrate and the migrations and migrate. We can now go ahead and spin the server so we can see how it looks like in the admin. So we can go ahead and create a new plan for our SaaS application. I'm just gonna call this plan premium. Then description, I can just say this is a premium package. Just a simple one. Then the premium one, I'm just going to charge them 5,000 per month. Duration is 30 days. Maximum users can have all the way. I'm just gonna keep it 5 for now. It's active. And then the features, I'm not gonna add a feature here for now, so I'm gonna premium. So we can just choose the tenant. Let's say we want vision credit. Then the plan is premium, the 5,000 per month. The status, let's say they've paid it. So we have our first subscription over here. You can see it's the tenant is vision credit, is in the premium plan starting on May 10th. The end date is 31st of May with the status of paid, and it's also active. We also have the remaining days, that is 20 days. So that is it for the tenant subscription, all managed under the super admin. And then lastly, the next thing that you can create, which we want to do for now, we can also create invoices automatically when we're using the Django-Tenants, Django Celery, as well as Redis. So we can have an invoice for vision. The subscription is premium. The invoice number again will be generated automatically. So right now, let's just give it some numbers over here. We can just say INV 001. The amount they should pay is 3,500, 5,000 for the premium. Then the description is the status should be sent. We just want to send it. Issue date is today, or maybe due date. We can just set today 2 nodes. Make payment. Then we can save the invoice. Yeah, we can see that we have an invoice with the status of pending because it hasn't been paid. It's sent. So once it gets paid via M-Pesa, the status will change to paid. Again, we'll create a dashboard for this feature later in the video series. So for now, it's just going to be via the admin dashboard. Anyway, that will do it for today's video. We've defined our models that are really important for a SaaS application, and that forms the core part of any SaaS application. You need to have like a strong foundation for your billing and subscriptions, because that is one of the core components of a SaaS applications. So in our next one, we will start wiring our views and also configuring our Celery and Redis. If you found some value in this video, or maybe it helps something stick in, please consider giving the video a like and also subscribe if you haven't. So see you in the next one.